Good morning, Dubai. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai Show, where we go through the top countries that ever across the country and also the region are talking about, because obviously big news today. Trump has landed in the Middle East and we have the key updates that have happened in the last 24 hours in Saudi Arabia.
And the Jebel Ali Racecourse is getting a massive makeover.
We're talking about this one local restaurant which has been shut down over food safety violations.
Khalaf and Habtoor calls out long school commutes for kids.
And later on in the show, we're talking about men and mental health. We're going to have Rahaf Ray Kobeissi, whose mission is to change the conversation.
And in today's rapid weather report, it's mostly sunny with temperatures ranging from 22 Celsius to 43 Celsius.
But before we get into all of that, I would say it's my guilty pleasure, which is to be on Facebook groups and looking at people's issues and problems. That's what I do in the evenings.
That's me with Reddit.
Really?
Yeah, I do that on Reddit all the time.
I do it on Facebook all the time. I never thought to do it on Reddit because does Reddit have an app?
Yeah, they have an app and they post stories like that. So right now I'm in that, I didn't join that group, but I get a lot of notifications like Muslim marriage problems.
Yes, it's always, well, this one is a relationship problem and I don't know how much of a problem it is. So I wanted to sense check with the Lovin Dubai audience because you guys know and Massa also knows. Let me just get it up. So
okay,
this lady, she said, my boyfriend is very active on Snapchat. He's 29 and I find it odd, so odd in fact that it's becoming an ick because of his age. Also to mention, he does have random girls and influencers on the app, which makes me more suspicious, even though he assures me it's nothing.
Look, okay, let's talk about Snapchat in general before we comment on that story.
Yeah.
Okay, so Snapchat, when it first came out, it was so popular. People were posting stories, sending snaps. It was so big. But I feel like most people that were using Snapchat, I think didn't have an age range. Let's say they didn't have an age range. But Instagram introduced stories, other apps introduced stories. A lot of people started forgetting about Snapchat, and it became mostly for kids. So, like, if someone comes to me and tells me, you know, can I have your Snapchat instead of can I have your number? It's like, what are you? Are you childish?
Okay.
I would never text someone over Snapchat because in my head, no, that's a children's app.
But the people that do use it, I agree with you. Around me, it was a younger crew. It's massive in Saudi, but the people that do use it, they do use it for normal communication. Like
True.
They snap each other rather than WhatsApp each other.
And the thing about Snapchat, it's so easy to hide text messages and relationships and communications that you don't want people to see.
It is so easy to hide that stuff.
It's so easy to hide it. And it's easy to hide personal videos and images on Snapchat as well.
So if your 29-year-old boyfriend was on, hypothetically, and I'm putting it out to the audience as well because we've got a couple of comments, if your hypothetical boyfriend was on Snapchat, he had influencers and girls on it, would you mind?
I would mind even if he had influencers and girls on Instagram.
You would mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on whatever app, but on Snapchat, if he's using Snapchat for that, oh, definitely no. No. You need to be, I don't use Snapchat as much, so I would hope for the person I am with is not using Snapchat as much as I am.
Yeah. I think though, at the end of the day, if the trust is there, the trust is there, and if it's not, it's not.
Yeah.
So if you trust your boyfriend, it shouldn't matter what app he's using to communicate, and if he's telling you there's no, because I think over time, I follow all sorts of people on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, so I follow male and female influencers. I don't know what she means by that, but I definitely follow both.
But there are certain types of influence.
Well, if you're following that type, then it's an absolute no, obviously. And you know, and if you can see the types of people, and if it's a certain type of people that don't fit with your moral values, then also say see you later, because that's not ideal.
You know, I had a friend that she was talking to this guy, and he was in his 30s, okay? So we randomly decided to go through his following list.
Oh, yeah.
Just because out of curiosity, because the way he was texting, he was all of morality and core values and Islamic values, and he was putting that persona on the perfect guy. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just go through his following.
On Instagram.
I did not see one single man on that following list, okay? I wish I saw his friends. I saw all Victoria's Secret models.
Right.
Including the angels.
Of course.
I saw.
And that's not for fashion.
Not for fashion.
Not for fashion.
It's not for fashion. Models that had their locations on their bio.
What does that mean?
So just let your head run wild. So models that would put their house location in their bio.
Okay.
Models that like to basically express themselves.
Okay.
It was filled with that, and he had over 2,000 following list and 200 followers.
I feel like Instagram should probably take a leaf out of Snapchat's book and make the following lists private, because they're open to the public. A word of warning to all. They are open to the public. We digress.
We digress.
Yeah, we totally went off topic there. Good morning to everyone watching. Thank you, Marshall Nemesis, for the first comment of the day. Good morning to you. Let's jump into the top stories, of course. Trump in Saudi Arabia, the key updates. So the President of the United States, Donald Trump, arrived in Riyadh on Tuesday, marking his first official foreign visit since taking office on the 20th of January. The Gulf visit begins in Saudi, followed by Qatar before he arrives here in the UAE.
Trump's plane landed at King Khalid International Airport, where he was received by His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Crown Prince. The Crown Prince and President Trump moved to the lounge at the airport for a brief reception, during which they chatted, and Trump was served traditional Saudi coffee, according to the Saudi press agency.
He's actually served coffee the last time he was here in 2017, and he asked for a refill. I think this time he didn't ask for a refill, as according to Eagle Eye witnesses.
Who made this coffee?
And in the last 24 hours, wow, some significant deals have been announced. We're just going to run through them quite quickly. Firstly, Saudi has pledged $600 billion in investments to the US economy over the next 4 years while Trump is in power, which will cover sectors such as energy, defense, mining, and technology.
On $142 billion arms deal, the US and Saudi Arabia signed the Defense Cooperation Agreement, described as the largest defense sales agreement in history, valued at nearly $142 billion.
Last time it was 100, so this is quite a significant jump. According to Bloomberg, Trump administration is negotiating the export of hundreds of thousands of AI chips. We're expecting the official announcement on that later today, to Saudi and also the UAE, which is aiming to empower the region as an AI powerhouse.
And finally, President Trump announced first steps to restore US-Syria relations after over a decade. Says, I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. This is backed by Saudi's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and other regional leaders.
This gives amazing hope to the region. We expect a meeting between the President of Syria and the President of the US today, happening in Saudi. More updates on that, but it was also significant to see how the meeting has played out. So he arrived in on a purple carpet, which is usually just for royals.
Because it was such a big meeting, if you think about it. Like, we've been waiting for such a long time. But the purple carpet. And also Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was there on the tarmac, which also breaks with traditional protocol. But he was there. Well, it seems like they have such a strong chemistry, a strong bromance. Majid, who is our Smashy News, which is a sister platform of Lovin, he was watching every single second of the address. Trump gave over an hour address last night, which is kind of unheard of. He just kept on talking, and he said that there was moments where Trump would look out at MBS and say, "I'll do this for you," I know what you mean.
Which is just
this is for you. Listen to that.
Yeah.
But when this news broke out, the Syria and the US sanctions broke out, we were sitting at a graduation, and let me tell you, everyone was so distracted. Everyone opened their phones. Everyone was showing each other the news. We forgot there was a graduation ceremony happening. We were all talking about it because this is grand. Over a decade. This is a very big news. Maybe this was the news that Trump was talking about.
Yeah,
or maybe not.
It was exactly that. It was I'll do these things for you. Because it was after the Syria announcement.
As soon as I opened my Instagram and I saw that news, I was in shock. And everyone around me was in shock as well.
So historic.
It's really historic. I think this is good news for all the Syrians. This is just looking very hopeful in the future.
Yes.
We wish them the best. obviously, like they've had a decade of suffering, but now since the sanctions have been lifted, I think this is really good and happy news for all the Syrians. Yesterday, we had to all celebrate with the Syrians, even if they were graduating. Like, forget about the graduation.
Yeah.
The sanctions are over. They're lifted.
Oh, what amazing historic news. And this is
Yeah.
the first day. And next up, he's going to visit Qatar and then the UAE. So we hope more...
More historic agreements happen.
More historic agreements to come. So we'll be monitoring it closely. But if you want on-the-ground updates, you can also check out our Lovin Saudi, Lovin Riyadh profiles for the rest of his Saudi visit. You can check out Lovin Doha and Lovin Qatar for his Qatar updates. And also, if you want the key business details, we have our smashy business journalists who are diligently reporting every single deal move happening. So you can check out all of those pages for the latest updates. But let's bring things a little closer to home. The Jebel Ali Racecourse is getting a massive makeover. 5 square kilometre master plan is coming to life around the historic Jebel Ali Racecourse. So think of a city within a city. It's going to have homes for 50,000 people. It's going to have a central park the size of Hyde Park that will feature cycling tracks, water parks, urban farms, and just loads of stuff.
This is all happening right next to Emirates Golf Club, the Greens and Emirates Hills. It's about to become Dubai's newest urban district. Once complete, it will feature villas, apartments across price points, walkable neighborhoods, schools, hotels, clubs, and green zones, and micro-mobility, even a link to Al Qudra cycling track.
This is so epic that a link will go out, so it's just going to mean that you can be a cyclist within the city. Now, one key thing is the racecourse isn't going anywhere, so the tracks and stables and horses, they are staying as a nod to the area's rich heritage. There's also going to be shaded walkways, self-driving shuttles, and it's all built around the 20-minute city concept, which we know is part of the country's 2040 urban master plan. The first homes will drop soon, with residents expected to move in within 3 to 4 years. Like, I love that someone has this vision.
Yeah.
And to me, at this very second, that whole area, do you know the area? It's like behind Barsha Heights, behind TCOM, near Emirates Golf Course, but it's this massive sand expanse.
No, I've never seen it. That's the thing. So
I'm so bad.
I want to see the vision.
So if you're at Spring Souk, there's this road, and if you're going from Spring Souk into Barsha on the right, you can kind of see the racecourse and the difference, but it's also just this massive empty sandscape. Like, also, at some point, if you're on Hessa to the right, it's all sand. But someone has a vision to create a massive park there and a massive new idea for homes. And once that's created, location-wise, phenomenal.
Can I say something? I would like to say, okay, that's not my doing, but I kind of manifested this. It's not my doing, but I manifested it. How? Because 8 years ago, I went to the UK and I saw Hyde Park and I loved it. I loved it. I was like, oh, this park is amazing. It's beautiful. I wish we could have something similar to Hyde Park here in the UAE.
This was NASA's doing.
This was my manifestation. You're welcome, guys.
And is this how you imagined it?
I imagined ponds. Oh, there's a pond. I imagined cycling tracks, yes.
Did you?
I imagined like greenery, walking tracks.
Yeah.
And just some areas to do some picnics. Just like Hyde Park.
It's like there's no doubt in my mind that this will be pulled off, and it is really amazing when you see some communities that are really focused on
like
creating green communities.
Yeah.
There's been a big sale in Al Barari neighborhood. I don't know if you've ever drove in there, and it's just it feels like you're driving into a jungle.
Yeah.
It's so phenomenal what someone with an idea can do, because to me I just see a sand patch.
Yeah,
and someone's like, I'm going to create homes for a lifetime here.
If you think about it, by the way, like, whoever doubts this to happen, like, oh, this land was all sand and it was just a desert. Look what we have now. Everything. You want nature?
That TikTok transformation.
Yes, exactly. Ordinary, So we have buildings.
Shaded walkways. Access to Al Qudra cycling
communities.
We just hope it's affordable.
Walkable. I can't wait for 2040.
They say 3 to 4 years, so let's see.
I'm going to be at Hyde Park. I'm going to be at Hyde Park.
Yeah.
Find me there doing picnics.
I hope it's open to all and not just residents of the community, but it probably will be.
Yeah, if it's a big
Your
park. it will be.
face. Let's move in to our next story.
Abu Dhabi restaurant shuts down over food safety violations. So a restaurant in Hamdan bin Mohammed Street in Abu Dhabi has been temporarily closed by the Abu Dhabi Agriculture and Food Safety Authority after repeated violations of food safety rules.
So here's what happened. It got multiple warnings, which the restaurant failed to correct some serious issues that posed a risk to public health. So following those multiple warnings, the ADA FSA stated that the closure was necessary to protect customers and will remain in place until the restaurant complies with safety standards. My mum had a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I remember when she first opened it. So she'd had a restaurant, I think it was before there was very strict safety regulations. And then that closed. And then I guess like 10 years later, she opened another one. And I remember both her and but I remember being surprised that like, it's so strict.
It's really strict.
Which makes sense. But at the time, it was like, you know, every type of food has a different chopping board, like, you know, different knives for everything and like everything.
Hairnets, everything.
Hairnets, everything.
Yeah.
And they're so strict for a reason.
For a reason. Here also, by the way, you're also not, other than hairnets, you need to wear a cap as well. I didn't know that. I didn't know that rule. I thought it was just hairnets.
How did you learn that rule?
From, I have a friend that has a cafe. And it's not food, it's just drinks. And they wear hairnets, but they got fined because their employees are not wearing caps. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I guess.
Which shocked me though.
I think all of this regulation is always there
good.
for a reason. It avoids rounds of food poisoning. I've never been in a situation here where I felt like the food isn't safe. I've eaten all around the city and I always feel like
you're safe.
Standards are met.
I think,
and apart from the odd oyster, I've been fine.
Yeah.
And I don't blame the restaurant for that. I blame my weak stomach.
That's the thing, by the way. Here in Dubai, I wouldn't say I had food poisoning, those terrible food poisoning where you vomit for days, but I did have upset stomachs, where I vomited some food, but it wouldn't last for 3 days. Like the next morning, I would vomit it out. The next morning, I would still feel pain.
Sorry, I'm like, how have we got here into this conversation?
Is that food poisoning? I mean, it doesn't last more than 1 day.
It's just early days, and I'm like, now I feel sick.
Oh, true. I mean,
but you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. That's it. But like, you have to avoid certain type of foods.
Yeah, I know
Sometimes
now
I
I
do that
can't
to
eat
myself.
certain things that those don't fit with me, but it's not the restaurant's fault.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that you need to avoid because I fall that trap. The garlic sauces. Avoid it. Avoid it. You know how many times...
I love, like, the garlickier, the better. When it's so...
Oh my God.
When it's so garlic, it becomes spicy. That's not enough garlic for me.
Oh.
What are you talking about? Do you mean like when you get a shawarma to avoid that garlic sauce?
No, not the shawarma. For example, you know the side, like when they put it on the side?
That's what I like. I would just drink that. I don't like. That's what the meal is for me. Is that garlic sauce?
You know, I just maybe it's my
Does
stomach.
it fit well for you?
Every time I do it to myself, I wake up with an upset stomach.
Oh no! But it's still. Do you sometimes know that something's not going to be good for you, but you just do it anyway? Yeah, all the time.
That's me.
Yeah.
That is me.
Dale can't eat Thai food, but we order it like once a week.
I mean, is it good?
Oh, like I love it. I'm obsessed. And then it's like when we get Thai food, but he knows he can't.
No, he doesn't care.
He
doesn't care.
Because it's so good here.
Oh.
Anyway, that's our tip from us to you. Let's jump into our next story, which actually follows on from the 20-minute city dream of this city to have everything within close distance to you. We have an update from Khalaf al-Habtoor.
So Khalaf al-Habtoor calls out long school commutes for kids. So Khalaf al-Habtoor, founding chairman of al-Habtoor Group, took to X to express concern over the long commute times children face just to attend school, saying it's too much for a little heart that wants to learn.
He highlighted how many kids leave home as early as 6 a.m. only to spend just as long getting back home, which could have a negative impact on their well-being and development.
Al-Habtoor suggested that every residential area should be equipped with a school or nursery to ease the burden on young learners and added, "We are ready to help."
So he's got a solution there, which is every community school.
In my community, there's a nursery. And there's a school that's a 5-minute drive. It's really
But there's I don't know enough about schools and nurseries, but there's so much traffic on the roads, which leads you to believe that people do travel. Did you have a commute when you were younger?
Let me tell you this. My least favorite part of the day is the commute.
Do you remember it?
I hate it. Yes, because I hated it.
Were you on the school bus?
Yes, school bus. And I remember because my school was in Sharjah, and we moved from Sharjah to Dubai. And so it made the ride longer. And it was so hot. And there was so much traffic all the time. And the bus was so small.
How long was the commute?
So it would take 40 minutes to 1 hour. But other people in my school, and they were so close, it would take them 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think
it's a blessing if you don't have a commute, but I sometimes think it's a fact of life. Now, if there could be a school, a nursery that is accessible for the entire community, amazing. But I also think it's a fact of life that sometimes
you have to commute. That's the thing. Like and especially if you want to put them in a good school, and their locations are very different. Like you can't find them in communities. You can find nurseries in communities, but I doubt you'll find schools in communities.
But if you had the option of sending your child to the best school in Dubai, and let's say you didn't have to pay for it, so like the Reptons, the Kings, all of those, like they cost a lot of money.
They do.
You could send your child there. You have a gifted child, but it's going to be an hour commute each way. Would you send them? And this is a question to parents. Would you send your kids if it's going to be an hour commute each way?
It's a struggle because you have to go back home and you have to do your homework, you have to study. Haram. I used to get tired. Like, speaking of experience.
I'm actually thinking, as I asked that question, I feel like an hour commute is actually quite...
It's a lot.
But no, but I think it's quite standard here as well.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe like 40 minutes.
Maybe 4 minutes.
I think it's a lot.
I think it's a lot.
Maybe the last 3 years, like when they're really going for the exams, then you can do the commute. But up until then, keep them close to home.
Because I remember I used to think, everyone would arrive home early, they would rest a bit, but I didn't have time to rest. I had to immediately go
Sleeping on the bus.
It was hard to sleep on the bus.
Interesting to bring up the conversation, and as we know, an amazing suggestion there by Khalaf Al Habtoor, but also something that the country is already planning in terms of the Dubai aspiration is to be a 20-minute city where you have healthcare, education, nursery, supermarket, a place to pray, all within 20 minutes. So we're getting there.
Hopefully. We're getting walkable cities.
It's 8:52 on this beautiful Wednesday morning. We're about to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're talking all things men's mental health. So stay tuned. We'll be with you after a very short break. Hey guys, welcome back to the Lovin Dubai Show in honour of Mental Health Awareness Month. Today's guest is Rahaf Kobeissi, also known as Ray. She's a mental health advocate and executive coach and the founder of Raise Your Mental Health. Her mission is to break the stigma around men's mental health and help people better understand, manage and prioritise their well-being. We're excited to have the chat. Welcome to the show.
I'm excited. Oh, thank you. I got a clap.
Of course. You're up at 8:30. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you, Masa.
When you introduce yourself
Yeah.
as Rahaf, you say that many people call you Ray.
Yes.
Why so? Why do you have that nickname?
It came from Raise Your Mental Health, the brand, but also because for too many, I'm like the rays of sunshine. So,
so cute.
because of the personality and probably the positivity that I bring, that's what I heard.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's really lovely.
Sunshine and happiness.
So let's talk about your own journey, I guess, with mental health. To become an advocate, how did that begin? How did that journey begin?
It started from a very personal journey. Back in 2010, I lost my dad to suicide. And that back then, you can only imagine the stigma around mental health, let alone men's mental health. So to me, it wasn't really something that I comprehended. Like, we were so close, why didn't he come forward or even just express that he's going through a tough time? So after doing some therapy and not some, I always say some, but like a long journey with therapy and healing, I decided, you know what, someone has to be the voice of men to talk about men's mental health. And I was one of the first in the Middle East to talk about it because it's really, really important. And I think until today, we have this misunderstanding that men don't feel. It's the exact opposite. They feel all the feelings. It's just they have been conditioned or trained or taught to feel quietly, hence the pain that comes from that.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much.
So what would you say are early signs of mental health issues or someone might be struggling?
It's really different, or it depends from one person to another, but the common symptoms, withdrawal. So they stop going to events or gatherings or anything that really used to interest them in the past. So they isolate themselves, they withdraw, they cancel last minute, I'm busy or I have things to do. That could be one of the symptoms. Their language gets more into the darker side, which means they're always pessimistic, they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, everything seems to be dramatic or heavy more than usual. Even the small tasks could feel like they're overwhelming or they're just too much to do. When you ask them about their well-being or their day, it's always the same answer, like, I'm fine, everything is fine, or what's the point? So it's just these basically behavioral, sometimes they're very subtle to notice, but it should be also worth mentioning is these symptoms should be taken seriously when it's longer than 2 months or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sorry. That's when, okay, there's a pattern, we need to pay attention to it. The thing is that people wait way too long, especially men. When there's a crisis, then they seek help. That's what I hope that should change for all of people, not just men.
I think we're all guilty of that, and I really look forward to diving further into this conversation because I feel like I know someone who's specifically going through this at the moment, and hopefully we can help a lot of people. But just to go back to your journey and, you know, to have that such a tragedy to happen in your life, at what point did you take the step to then be able, because you had to overcome this yourself,
yes,
and now you're giving back to people and helping them. So how did you get from here to here?
Beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. After my third suicide attempt. So I went blind for 4 days and I was like, there's something in the universe or in the energies that is really not letting me go. So I took it as a sign to start my therapy and my healing. And I was like, okay, there has to be something bigger than all of this. And I didn't know what was it. It was extremely painful and uncomfortable, as you can imagine. But then now I realize why. That's the short answer.
Wow. So I don't know what you've been through. But thank you for being here to share your story.
Thank you. Thank you. Now things are different. I just want people to know that things now are really different. I have the blessing and the honor to work with people. I raise a lot of awareness, all of it around not just awareness, but also how to take action to bridge the gap between both, because I don't think we need more awareness, we need more action. So yes, I'm in a very good place. My clients are in a very good place. We're good, but that's why it's really important. And I know the impact of neglecting your mental health or not being able to catch someone's signs, how literally dreadful that can be. So it's good to have at least the right knowledge and tools to work with.
So that's the thing. So speaking of action and tools, like what actionable things, if someone today is watching and they are struggling with their own mental health, is there one small thing that they can do now that could help them?
It doesn't have to be major. It doesn't have to be like extreme, like immediately going to therapy, immediately going to this, because I know that this is very uncomfortable, at least in this region. It's still not unheard of. It's just unfamiliar to go to a stranger and tell them, hey, I'm in a mess. I think it could be as simple as just having a conversation, a real conversation with a safe person. That's it. Let's start from there. Have a coffee with someone and just be real and drop the masks. And I would model that behavior first so the person could feel safe enough to come to me by, how's your day? Well, it wasn't easy. Why? Because I have been going through this and this and that. Or if I have to cancel a meeting or take a day off from work, I'll be very honest. I'm taking a mental health day because I'm really feeling anxious today. So just being real. We have been conditioned for so long to just wear the mask, that everything is fine. Hence, we have this toxic positivity in our culture now. We need to change that. So yeah, the first step would be just being real, having a conversation with someone safe. And if you feel like the symptoms are a bit too stubborn or they last a lot, too consistent, that's when you say something like, you know what, I know someone might be the right person for you. Just have a conversation with them. No agenda, no pressure. Yeah, it's very simple. We overcomplicate things, really.
Yeah. And do you feel maybe culture or family pressure is like forces someone to be hesitant to speak up?
100%.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Are we progressing to better, or are we still struggling with the cultural pressure? In the cases
Big question. I love it. It really depends on the family, because you can see a family who came from a very conservative background or culture, that at least one family member is breaking the pattern. And also you see another family where they're not doing anything. They're just repeating generational patterns. So yes, there's progress, but oh my God, we have so much to do still. And I would highlight it in a way where, okay, if you feel like you don't want to do any therapy or healing, I hear you, but think of your kids. Think of their kids. Is that really something you want to pass on to the next generation? Is that what you're teaching your kids? Like, it's okay to suppress feelings. It's okay to feel your pain on your own. It's okay to suffer when no one is noticing or when no one's around. What kind of messages are we really passing on? When you ask that question, people would be like, oh, but that's not what I meant. Because at the end of the day, when someone is suffering or choosing to suffer in silence, most of the time it's coming because I don't want to burden someone with my problems. I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't want to be perceived as unprofessional, especially if that person is an executive or runs a business. Let's drop all of that. We're all human beings and go back to the basics.
Interesting one.
Why?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We have so many questions.
Well, you mentioned about first steps and people being unwilling to kind of let the mask fall. So why do you think, and we're talking about men specifically, why do you think it's so hard for men to take that first step?
Because of us, and people really don't like it when I say that, because of us, and by us I mean the family, the company, the culture, the society, all of it, because we have taught men from a very young age that go take care of your sister. You're the man of the house. Don't cry. Shh. Stay silent. And with time, of course, this boy is going to grow up into a man, an adult man who has now anger issues, who can't trust people when they say, I care about you, because what do you mean? So we learn all these, or men learn all these defense mechanisms, coping strategies, but they're really unhealthy, which is why you find it very common for men to be emotionally trapped. They don't know how to express emotions. They don't know how to express their needs. They don't know because we never taught them. We just taught them that you have to be the man of the house by providing and protecting. What about providing him a safe space and protecting him from a future suicide or a heart attack?
Interesting.
It's interesting to say that because I think in relationships maybe we tend to blame the man. It's like, oh, you're emotionally unavailable.
100%. We made him like that, but that doesn't mean that it's not his responsibility to heal himself and to just go back to where the wound was open or the pain is and dive through it.
Do you think someone is able to change that to become maybe
100%.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
Fine.
And we keep saying like, yeah, do the work. No, it's nasty work, but it's worth it. At the end of the day, you choose what people talk about legacy. I don't believe in legacies in terms of materialistic legacies. I believe in legacies that at least I made someone feel safe enough. At least I made someone to feel like, you know what, I matter in this life, and helped him or showed him the way to do something about it. So yes, therapy is painful. Healing is such a painful, nasty journey. It's not all flowers and blooming. But what are you investing in is the longevity, your future. So thank you for acknowledging at least my journey. But yes, it was so painful. And many times I didn't think I would come out of it. But when I look where I am today, I would be, oh my God, it was so worth it. Every tear, every pain, every whatever it is. And people are so scared of pain.
Yeah.
But pain can be your friend. It's a heavy friend to have. So you will learn how to sit with it and just, you know what do you want to tell me? And the pain is going to be your mentor at some point. And I'm not saying that so it can be a quote, but it's actually true. And when you allow yourself to feel that pain without really caring about what people think or how they can perceive you, you're going to come out of it someone lighter. Not stronger, lighter.
Interesting. You say points about sitting with the pain and the pain can be your mentor. And then there's all these things on YouTube about neuroplasticity and like training your brain into positive thoughts. You say healing is a painful journey. What does that journey look like? And is there, of course there isn't, but is there a one-size-fits-all in your point in terms of healing mental health? Or
Never.
How does it work?
Never. Thank you for asking that. No, it's very individualistic journey. What healing looks like for you could be different for Masa and same for me. It doesn't have to be as extreme as my journey or someone else's journey. Some people could just merely be working on, you know what, I have a very critical inner voice and I want to learn, work on that. And that could be because their parents used to criticize them or they were not taught how to perceive things in a positive way. So no, there's no one size fits all. But do the basic stuff like sleep well, eat healthy, do your body movements. Do not be with people that you don't, I don't want to say you're not proud of, but you don't want your kids to turn out like them, for example. Or let's do the basics, and gradually when you're doing that on a daily basis, then your well-being is going to improve. That's on the daily thing. But if you're someone who has already carrying a lot of weight, go to a therapist you trust. Ask a friend for help. You're not ready yet. There are plenty of resources outside, available, like YouTube, books, plenty of tools that you can work around, workbooks, journals, anything, just to get you started or to get you feel like, you know what, if that person went through this, then I'm not really the odd person here in the society or whatever he is, and then go to a therapist. And therapists will never go and say it out loud, this person came to me today. No, it's going to be safe and confidential. It's going to take a lot of time. It really depends on what traumas or baggages you're working on. But you will see the progress by the way you respond differently, from going from an angry person to someone who's very calm and composed, for example, from someone who's feeling anxious from the minute you wake up to someone who, I don't feel anxiety in my body anymore. These differences in the way you show up and the way you respond and the way you behave, these will be your signs that, oh, therapy is working. So,
do you feel like that maybe some mental health issues might manifest into habits or addiction? For example, shopping addiction, like
100%.
shopping addiction, maybe like intense workouts. A lot of people might get into that, like become very intense in the gym. How do you notice that sign? Is it just a normal addiction, or is it because it's something has to do with mental health?
Well, no addiction is healthy.
Yeah.
but this is very important. So this is what we call escapism. When people escape to platforms or outlets to release that stress or depression or anything that has been on their chest, and they just go, what's wrong? I'm just working out. But when you look at their workout schedule, what do you mean? It's like you're killing yourself in that workout. So which part of yourself do you hate so much that you're taking through all that suffering? It's a very deep topic, and I could go as deep as you want me to, but this is escaping. I don't want to feel my feelings. I don't want to feel my pain. There's something yucky going on inside my mind or my heart. Let's go and do something else. It could be partying. It could be emotional eating. It could be working out extensively. It could be anything to numb that voice that is telling you I'm in pain. No, you're not. We're fine. We're okay. Some people become workaholics, high achievers. Let me show the world how successful I am, so no one gets to ask me about my some grief, for example, or whatever that is. So yes, people get to cope differently. Most of the time, unfortunately, it's an unhealthy way to cope. It's an investment. It's a choice. You can share all the tools, all the education that people need to do something about their mental health, but unless they choose to change or to heal, nothing's going to happen.
Well, on a very basic level, if we see someone who, you mentioned earlier the signs that someone's going through, or if we see someone who's using escapism as a tool to avoid what they're really going through, how would you suggest a friend or you approach a friend or a loved one if they're going through something?
Depends on how open-minded your friend is. If they're open for feedback, you can be very blunt. Listen, I'm really worried about you. Or you can highlight or call out a pattern of behavior that they have been doing, from someone who's outgoing to someone who's isolated, and then offer help. Like, I know someone who has helped X or has helped me personally, whatever it is. If that friend is not really open for feedback, you can just gift them something that could open their eyes or minds to something. It could be a book, it could be a podcast episode. You know what, let's watch this, and then, raise the volume on things they have to hear.
Subtle hints.
Subtle hints. I'm someone who would really be empathetic in my approach. It really depends on the person, but always be there. If those two ways didn't work, it's not on you. The third way that I would recommend is just subtle support, which is, hey, I'm just going to keep checking in. You don't need to reply, but I'm here. Just for them to start, for their brain to start comprehending that, okay, I have someone that I can go to. It's just that I'm so scared at the moment. You can only do much, but it really also depends on the severity of the issue. Sometimes it's a severe depression, and that no, we need an intervention. If it's just a day-to-day thing and piled up issues that they haven't worked on, a book, a podcast, a conversation, we go back to a real conversation by just saying, you know what, I remember myself when I look at you because I went through something like this. Am I right? Am I accurate? Did I miss something? Just a real conversation. That's what I go back to, because we have been rehearsing our way in life. Let's drop the act.
So if you look online and you see a lot of people trying to give mental health tips, it might be a professional or a non-professional, but there's only this one common advice that people say, like, cut out everything that's negative in your life, whether it's people or whether it's habit. Is this really healthy to do? Because a lot of people might end up lonely or alone.
I'm loving your questions. I am with the concept of decluttering, for sure. But I wouldn't go as extreme as all the negative stuff, because also you don't want to go to avoidance. No, I can handle negative situations, or I can set a boundary with a negative person. If I have to work with that person, I can't cut them off.
Yeah.
So no, learn the tools, the skills, everything that will help you handle something negative. And then you decide, okay, what do I need in my life? What I don't need. So for example, from my personal experience, I don't listen to songs anymore that has negative lyrics, because I don't want my brain to keep listening to repeatedly lyrics that suggest a lonely feeling or a breakup. Why do I feel sad today?
So
well, look at the song you have been listening to. You know, that could be a simple way of doing it. Do like an inventory on your social media accounts. Who are you following? Who are you watching repeatedly? What kind of content are you consuming? Is it good for your brain? Is it not? I don't watch news anymore. These things, yes, I would really recommend. Yeah. But if you work with someone who happens to be on the negative side of it, it's your choice how much you want to engage with that person. Yes, set some boundaries, but don't cut off anything that is on your negative radar, because then you'll be avoiding your triggers, you'll be avoiding things. Yeah. No, you need to be able to cope, you need to be able to handle them as a professional, or not, but we're human beings, and I am trying or doing my best to shy away from saying the word negative feelings, because all feelings are good feelings. It's just what we do with it. But for example, if the person comes from a family, which is a question I get a lot, and that family member is toxic, like gaslighting you, bullying you, or whatever it is, it's something you need to discuss with your therapist on how to approach this. But cutting that member off shouldn't be something we shame those people for. You have the right to do that in the protection of your future and mental health. There are so many things that one can do, but at the end of the day, I am against the one-size-fits-all thing. Do this and do that and do... It really depends from one person to another. So whoever is listening, you are the master of your life. So you know exactly what needs your attention, what needs to change, and you're just resisting that change. You know where to go. You just don't want to go because it's too painful. Yeah. And we tell ourselves the story of, I don't have the time. Really, I have other priorities right now. But what is the story you're telling yourself? I'm not a priority.
We've quickly run out of time, unfortunately, but before
it
you
happens
leave
to me
us,
a lot. I apologize.
It's an interesting conversation. So
I really love the conversation. Before you leave us, you've written a book, Raise Your Mental Health. Can you tell us about it?
So the book is called Raw, Rising Above Wounds, and it should be published very, very, very soon. And it started off as a memoir, but then I changed my mind, and I now just shared like a sneak peek of the journey and the story, but it's all mental health tools for people to start working on and taking it as the first step towards healing. Amazing. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was supposed to get you some copies, but it's still in the printing process.
I was thinking, I was like, where's the book?
You'll receive your copies very soon.
So tell us, where will it be out? Where can people buy it when it comes out? And if people want to reach you directly, how can they do so?
You can reach me at Raise Your Mental Health on Instagram, Rahaf Kobeissi on LinkedIn, and the book will be on Amazon and hopefully in a few bookstores in Dubai. We're still finalizing that. Yes.
Thank you so much
for having me. Thank you so much.
And thank you for being a voice and being an advocate for men's mental health.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Massa.
Thank you, Casey.
And that brings us to the end of the Lovin Dubai show. We're back here with you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.